Hey guys, and next month we are getting Mario Tennis Fever. Nintendo is already starting to advertise it now, so I think it's fair to start to talk about it and kind of discuss how this game could turn out. But I feel like this has a huge negative reputation to try to fix, because the Mario sports games over the Switch 1 era have certainly been notorious. I would even say before the Switch 1 era, because Mario Tennis Ultra Smash and Mario Sports Superstars were certainly something. So I feel like the announcement of the Mario sports games usually has some kind of sour response to it, and I think that's honestly for good reason. People are absolutely fair to feel that way after how we've been burned so many times by the Mario sports games. Like Mario Tennis Aces didn't have many characters at launch, didn't have a lot of variety. Mario Golf Super Rush also was kind of lacking in a lot of aspects as well, and also kind of looked a bit unpolished in terms of its visuals. And then Mario Strikers Battle League, while it was promising at first, there was barely anything in the game, not just at launch, but after everything was said and done. So I feel like this sub-series of the Mario franchise definitely doesn't have a great reputation. And I will say, I did enjoy Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush to a degree. I would actually say Mario Golf Super Rush was kind of a guilty pleasure for me. So I don't think these were inherently bad games per se, it was just the business decisions that were holding them back. Like the free update model was really handled poorly. They tried to keep players engaged in a very artificial way by holding back content to add later, and this really didn't work out since people really only went back to these games for a couple days and then didn't touch it again until the next update. It really felt like a pseudo live service model, and I really hope that Nintendo is moving away from this model. We really haven't seen Nintendo use it that much lately, so I definitely have hope that Nintendo has learned their lesson since that part of the Switch 1 era. But Mario Tennis Fever is at an interesting place. This is the first Mario sports game on the Switch too, so it definitely has a chance to redeem itself in this new era of Nintendo. And it's also the first Mario sports game in this new, refreshed era of Mario. Like, ever since Mario Wonder, we've seen a huge shift in how this franchise has been handled, with things like Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi, Mario Kart, and Donkey Kong. It seems like they're improving quite a lot of aspects of the various Mario sub-series, so I feel like Mario Tennis Fever definitely is the perfect chance for the Mario Sports sub-series to kind of redeem itself and really kind of show that it's capable of improving. And so far, I feel like they're already improving a lot of aspects that a lot of people have been critical of in the Switch 1 era. Like, for starters, the roster will have 38 playable characters, which is amazing. Right off the bat, we are getting the largest roster in the series at launch, which is a huge improvement from the other Mario sports games that have released recently, which only got around 10 to 16 characters at launch. I definitely feel like Nintendo was listening to the feedback here. I feel like the size of the launch rosters was definitely something that was heavily critiqued, so that might have been something that they took into consideration here. And if we end up getting free updates for this game, I feel like that will be much more justified, as it won't really feel like content that should have been there from the start. It will just feel like extra content, since we may end up getting like 45 to 50 characters in this roster, and like anything past like the 38 that we have at launch would genuinely feel like extra content here. And I feel like this large roster is really something that Nintendo should advertise, because it really conveys that the Mario sports games are capable of improving, and Nintendo finally takes this sub-series a little more seriously again. And we actually have been seeing Nintendo emphasize this a little bit, like in the announcement trailer where they announced that there will be 38 playable characters at launch, and a recent tweet that they made kind of featuring Peach and Daisy. So I'm definitely hoping that they will focus a lot on the content here. And if we are getting a large roster, I feel like that's also a good sign that there will be a lot of content in other areas too. Like, why only focus on the content of the roster when there could also be a lot of courts as well? So I'm definitely expecting a lot of courts in this game. We've already seen a good variety in the announcement trailer. Like, of course, we saw the regular court, as well as like another kind of outdoor looking court, and then we saw one that takes place on an airship, and then Waluigi Pinball, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So there's like a lot of interesting courts that we've seen so far, and I would say some of the courts that we've seen so far look a lot more interesting than some of the locales in other recent Mario sports games. They're actually pulling from some like recent Mario titles like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and also bringing back some other fan favorite locales like Waluigi Pinball. So it definitely seems like they're going on the angle of doing more interesting, wacky, Mario-esque stuff this time, kind of similar to Mario Power Tennis from the GameCube era. It really seems like this game is kind of going more towards that GameCube era Mario Sports feel that the Switch 1 Mario Sports games didn't really capture that much as they desperately tried to in some areas. And of course, this will also have a story mode as well, and I feel like the story mode is another thing that's kind of seems like an improvement in Mario Tennis Fever, since it has a little more substance to it this time, because of the fact that you actually play as baby characters, and the baby characters are part of the story, since like all of the main characters were turned into babies. They introduced baby Waluigi, which is amazing. And it seems like they're kind of going for something a little more unique this time, almost similar to those older Camelot Mario sports game stories. So I'm definitely hoping that this story mode turns out to be good this time, and even the mechanic of this game seems to be pretty wacky and whimsical with the fever rackets, and they reference like a lot of like older like 2000s Mario games, like with the ice racket referencing Baron Burr from Mario Galaxy, and then there's like a shadow racket that kind of looks like the cosmic clones from Mario Galaxy, and then there's even like Proto Piranha from Mario Sunshine, a cap block from Mario 64, like a thwomp, a Taifu, a mini mushroom. They're tapping into like all these little interesting like Mario items and enemies and things. So I feel like this mechanic definitely feels more Mario-esque than some of the other mechanics in recent Mario sports games. It kind of seems like this game is following in line with some of these other Mario Wonder era Mario games, where it kind of goes back to a lot of Mario's roots while also doing something weird and interesting again. So I definitely think this game has a lot of potential, and I feel like there's a lot more going for it than any of the Switch 1 era Mario sports games, but I just hope it has enough content. But finally, there's one more $sign-shaped elephant in the room, and that's the fact that this game will be $70, which I think is a hard sell for a lot of people, especially with the reputation of the Mario sports games over the years. So I definitely think it will be hard for Nintendo to convince a lot of people to buy this game, or at least be interested in it. So I think the $70 price point was definitely a bad idea for a Mario sub-series like this. But at the same time though, I kind of understand why Nintendo priced this at $70. In their eyes, the Mario sports games on Switch 1 were successful anyway, despite the fact that they had a lot of issues. So while it does seem like they were listening to our feedback in a lot of ways, in terms of its price, they still saw this sub-series as successful, so they priced it as such. I just think a $50 or $60 price point would have been a much better way to get people on board with this game, and it would have also been a good way of Nintendo to show that they can price games variably, since a Mario Tennis game definitely seems like it has a little less substance to it than something like Donkey Kong Bonanza or even Kirby Air Riders. But I think that kind of goes to show that Nintendo doesn't really price games variably. That was just an excuse to price Mario Kart World at $80. But anyways, let me know what you think of Mario Tennis Fever so far, and thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!